حي على الفلاح.
I'm happy that all you guys are here today for our episode of the Dawah training workshop. I'm hoping you guys all benefit and inshallah seek reward from it. Just gonna give a quick introduction of myself and the chef. My name is Nafisa. I'm a general volunteer of the Systems organization. And this is again our annual Dawah training workshop we have just before I know you. So I just want to give a brief intro to Chef Maki, who will be joining us from the actual States. So alhamdulillah, it's a great honor. Just a quick, bio. His expertise is Dawah. He is known for actually this workshop, Shahada in 10 minutes, which he uses to different NSA organizations throughout the entire continent. Just another thing also is that he's a very gentle, loving man. However, he is. However, if you do put a panda in front of him, I don't think it would probably be the best option. He would not be fond of pandas apparently. But alhamdulillah, everything works well in Canada. There's also another, addition. If you guys want to donate, it's amazing. We have donation boxes for each side of the brothers and sisters. So I guess from brothers somewhere, I think in the back, sisters are over there. So if you guys want to donate some coins or some change or bills, whatever, feel free, inshallah. Also, just for another thing, if you guys have any questions and if you guys are not comfortable putting your hands up and stuff like that, what you can do is you can text the following number. I'll put it on the board just before Q&A. It'll be my number, so you'll be texting me, inshallah. And then I guess I'll give it to Sheikh and do all. Guys, it's for good purposes only. So then Sheikh Maki will answer. So without further ado, I want to present Sheikh Maki.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الأمين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد. All right, so many things. First of all, my plane was delayed 2 hours. On top of that, customs have to talk to me for an additional whatever. And today I got more information about this guy whose name matches mine. So there's apparently a Sudanese guy whose name is Kamal something al-Maki. And he has my exact birthday, and he's wanted for something. And that's why I get harassed every time coming into Canada. They have to make sure I'm not that guy. And in the end I was like, this must be like a super bad guy. He probably did something really bad. And the customs officer was like, no, not really. I thought, why are you harassing me for 10 years then? So anyways, so that's, I really, really apologize for being late. It's kind of beyond our control twice over. I'm going to skip my love for Canada because you guys know I used to live in Calgary. I love Canada, but to me Canada is Alberta. I love Alberta. And you guys are the capital, of course. I love Tim Hortons. I didn't win the Camry just now. But if I won the Camry, would it be halal or not? You guys just roll up first and find the fatwa, huh? It's actually interesting how intentions play a very strong role here. If you buy it with the intention of gambling, then it's not halal for you. But if I'm getting the coffee and I roll up and I win the Camry anyways, then alhamdulillah it's halal for you. So make sure you keep that intention pure. One of the brothers in Windsor won a huge flat screen TV. He said he just chucked the cup out the window. He said, I thought it was haram. I'm like, Habibi, I'm sure there's a chef who'll give you fatwa to give him some chicken or something. Check first, don't chuck it out the window. Okay, suppose it is haram. Okay, give it to the masjid. They'll put their advertisements on it, whatever. You don't have to. So if you win the Camry, talk to me. I'll find you a job. Look, I've got even, it was supposed to be 3 hours, okay? In the old days, this workshop was 6 hours. I do have a 3-hour version. I have a 1-day version, a 2-day version, and a 4-day version. Now, so I have now less than 3 hours, like 2 hours and a half, if that, to go over everything very quickly. But I need to go through the introduction so you do know that this stuff does work, inshallah. And the quick story behind this, the course, or like this workshop, how to give Shahada in 10 minutes, when it originally started, it started at George Mason University in Virginia, where I was forced to become the Muslim chaplain there. And the history of that university, they had a dawah table, looked just like this, a bowl of candy in the middle and books on both sides. For 3 years, that dawah table got 2 shahadas. 2 shahadas in 3 years. So then I took over as the chaplain of the university. I said, okay, let's liven up the dawah table and all that. So let's do some dawah training first. And I gave maybe the first or second ever version of this workshop. And in half a semester, I gave it in the middle of the semester. In half a semester, 17 people became Muslim. So it went from 2 people in 3 years to 17 people in half a semester. And the du'at were people who had, the brothers and sisters, had no experience in da'wah ever before. Ever. So it was the first time we learned that you can take people with 0 da'wah experience, give them a 5-hour workshop, and they can go out and become some superb du'at. Until this day, if you ask me who are some of the best du'at you've ever seen in your life, and these were the sisters at George Mason University. They were superb. They were like machines, mashallah, in da'wah. They were incredible. And Allah accept from them. And what did the brothers do? They came and talked to me about how sisters are speaking to brothers. And okay, you give da'wah, I'm busy. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna then. And don't be a useless person. Either you do something or you just keep your mouth shut. Okay? Sisters are giving shahadas from Allah, people becoming Muslim, being saved from the hellfire. What's the matter with you? What are the guidelines for sisters giving da'wah? The scholars say, this is not me making it up, as long as some of the Islamic guidelines are there, the sister can give da'wah. Number 1, she's dressed properly. Number 2, the etiquettes of respect of lowering the gaze and no touching, not being alone. 3, well, those were like a number of them. 3, 4, 5, whatever it is, that the discussion doesn't go outside of da'wah. Once we get to, hey, people, I like the color of your hijab, then we'll have a problem now. And now if you allow me to add something, then I can't see at all any reason why a guy should be giving the da'wah to a girl for 3 months. I don't see any reason for that. Unless you're the last guy, all the sisters died, okay? You're the last guy, and for 3 months, yeah, let me tell you about Islam, sister. Under the covers, you're telling her about Islam, late night, what's this? So at some point, yeah, I'm standing there at the da'wah table, there's no sister, a lady comes up to me, I give her information about Islam, and at some point, I pass her on to another sister. There's no reason why for months I should be the only one talking to her. Unless, like I said, every other sister doesn't exist. And you want to give a shahada so you can marry her, so Islam can continue, mashallah, through you, the hero. But otherwise, there's no reason for that. And also, sisters shouldn't be speaking to a guy for months on end. How many times as chaplain, the sister would come to me, I'm giving da'wah to someone, now I'm attached to him. That's how it works. So, anyway, the point is, going back to what I was trying to say, is that, inshallah, it does work. The techniques do work. They're from the Quran and the Sunnah and the Seerah. There are many evidences. In the longer version, I'll tell you this technique comes from this prophet, this technique comes from the Seerah, the Prophet used it with, Ubay ibn Ka'b used it with this person or that person. And then we reinforced it with psychology, with skills from negotiating, PR. There's something I call da'wah mode. Okay, this is a state of mind that you're in. And when you're in da'wah mode, you see da'wah benefit in everything. And just try it. Put yourself in da'wah mode, and you'll see da'wah everywhere. Okay, you take a course on marketing, you're going to see da'wah. Like me, you study communications, you see da'wah in every single class that you take. You read a study about something completely random, you see da'wah technique in it. Absolutely. You watch a commercial, you see da'wah technique in it. So if you're in da'wah mode, you're going to find da'wah opportunity everywhere and da'wah technique everywhere. So being in da'wah mode and talking to many du'at over the years, we've added and put together like a lot of techniques that are very powerful that work, inshallah. To give you a demonstration of how well these techniques work, I've got, and this is the only reason I keep teaching this class, is that I know from, it's been about maybe 10 years of teaching it now, and the feedback that I've gotten from around the world, I know that it does work. And there were, like in New Jersey one time, we gave the workshop on a Saturday. Sunday we take people to the streets, and they've never given da'wah before in their life. And each one would come back with 1 or 2 shahadas each. And they're like, and their testimonials, I still have them. They would say things like, I thought he was just making it sound easy during the class, but it was that easy. All right, it's not hard if you have the proper technique. The other thing, I received this email many years ago from someone in the UK who heard an online version of the da'wah workshop. There's a 9-hour version that we filmed in Calgary some years ago. It's on YouTube. There's a 3-hour version we filmed in Malaysia some months ago. That's why I'm wearing a Malaysian outfit, right? And there's Well, there's this version now, whatever that turns out to be. And this guy found a 5-hour audio version, really old version. From the UK, he sent me this email. He said, I heard half of it. Then I paused it to go buy dinner. He said, on the way, I met a non-Muslim in the street. I said something from the conference, from the workshop. The guy said something back to me that was expected. I said something back, and the guy takes his Shahada in a few minutes. So he writes to me, he says, I didn't even hear the whole course, which is 5 hours. Like I heard 2.5 hours, and the guy said Shahada. What happens when I hear the whole thing? Well, you get a Shahada every 10 minutes. No, of course not. It's just marketing name. It's not a guarantee, like stop someone for 10 minutes. If you have 10 minutes, sir, you will see miraculous changes. It doesn't work like that. Okay. So as far as I don't want to keep, I have many more stories, but if you believe me that it does work, then enough. Then we can continue, right? I don't have to keep telling you stories that it does work, right? Okay, good. I need to figure out a number of things. First of all, by show of hands, who are some of the du'at for Islam Awareness Week coming up? You can stand at the dawah tables. Yeah? 1, 2. Just 2 from the brothers. 3, 4. Okay, and sisters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's all of you for the, you're gonna have a dawah table during Islam Awareness Week or not? Every day? And only 6 of you will be doing 5 days a week. Okay? None? There'll probably be more. Okay, very good. Very good. Who came up with the theme?
The club.
The club? Wonderful. I have to commend you on it. It's wonderful. Any other times in history we would say, oh, I love Taki. Perfect time for this. Perfect time for this. So we were just talking about that in the car. I commend you on picking this theme. It's a wonderful theme. Whoever chose to give them a raise. Because it's at a time when Islam is becoming synonymous with hate, when you talk about love for a whole week, different aspects of love, it's very good. It's a very good eye-opener. It's a very good message sent to non-Muslims. And, forget non-Muslims, to Muslims as well. You know the problems we're having now with people leaving Islam. It's attack constantly. It's wearing down on people. So people are leaving Islam, and part of it is like, oh, look, people are just violent, and all we see is just hatred, and I want to love everyone. I don't feel hatred in my heart, so I can't be a good Muslim. I was telling the brothers, I was giving dawah, street dawah in Ireland, I think last month. It was my first time ever to give dawah, street dawah in Ireland. And it's like, it was unbelievable, unbelievable. Easiest dawah in the world, in my opinion, US, followed by Canada, then what if you just with these 4 countries, then UK, and then Ireland. You want to know how Nuh alayhi salam felt? Give dawah in Ireland. Like, you're not even there. You're not even there. People here, at least in North America, they have to acknowledge, even if they don't have time for you, like, no thank you, they smile, they acknowledge. They're like, you don't exist. I'm talking to this guy, and it's just, there's nothing there. Not even a fly, because even the fly, you go like this to the fly. This guy's just walking like this. I'm a stone statue or something, you know? So I was talking to this one nasty old man. Yes, nasty old man. And he's talking to me about how, about ISIS, you know, and ISIS represents Islam. And I said, no, they don't represent Islam. And we distance ourselves from them. And he said, no, ISIS, that's what Islam is, what ISIS is doing. And I said, well, okay, so if Islam commands violence, then how come I'm not doing something violent right now? And I've never heard anyone in my life who committed a murder. And the guy said, because you're not a good Muslim. And a good Muslim has to do something violent. Okay, give me your home address so when I start practicing, I come visit you. Right? And I had to like match his tone. He was like a little bit, right? I wasn't yelling at the old man, but I had to match his tone. And I said, okay, what about all the Christians who did some nasty things in the past? He said, they're not good Christians. So how come you can distance yourself from bad Christians and I can't distance myself from the bad actions of Muslims? And it took a while before he finally realized that, okay, we don't support ISIS. But the da'iyah next to me just wouldn't condemn the actions of ISIS. Because he was originally Syrian and just found some issue, I don't know what it was, but just couldn't condemn them. Okay. Now, and I think we're going to talk about this tomorrow, about how you can condemn an action. You don't have to condemn an individual. I don't know everyone individually that's part of ISIS. I don't know all these young men to condemn all the. Look, we're not saying that. We're just saying, like, putting a machine gun outside the window in the highway and just shooting at a car, that's not Islamic. The problem is many youth don't know what Islam the Islamic State looks like. They watch movies and they think the Islamic State is this violent place, like the Old West, but now instead of a gun, everyone has a sword, and things are being chopped off, hands, legs, feet, everything. It's a violent place, we live by the sword and all that stuff. And so when they see some violence happening in the name of the Khilafah and all that, everyone's like, wow, okay. Now we need to edit this part later on. Anyways, the point is, you have a question? Let's get down to business, inshallah. Right? So good theme, wonderful. And where is it? It's not on yet? Not yet?
You just touched the button.
Huh?
Just touch the button.
Twice what now? Where's the president? Where's Sister Maria? MashaAllah. That's okay. MashaAllah. Well, very good. And of course, the gem of Edmonton, Sister Saad. We don't have a president on the side of Allah. But if I ran a masjid in a city where we had someone like Sister Saad, I would know exactly what to do with someone like that. Exactly. Anyways, this is one of our problems is that we value buildings and things more than people, Whereas you find other places like they value people. They'll spend money on the imam to go get training for counseling, spend money on the imam to go learn about divorce law and inheritance law. But here we'll spend millions on a structure we don't like to spend on people. I know she's in the room, I shouldn't speak when she's in the room, but like what she does in the community, that's a gem. So I would take funds from the masjid and say, okay, here, do what you do. And you don't have to go to work or anything. This is more valuable. And we know this from, I'm so sorry, I know you're here, it's really bad, but Umar radiallahu anhu, remember when he was with the companions, he said, everyone make a wish. And one guy, I wish this whole room was full of gold coins I'll spend in the way of Allah. Like, that's not the wish. The other guy, like, full of gems and I'll spend it in the way of Allah and in jihad fi sabilillah. And he said, that's not the wish. Then he said, what is the wish? He said, I wish this whole room was full of men like Abu Ubaid, Amr ibn Jarrah. And I'll use them to move the religion forward. We always think it's money that will move the religion forward and I don't know what, credit and money and buildings. It's not, it's people. How does Umar know this? How did Umar become Muslim? How did Umar become Muslim? As a result of the dua of the Prophet, which is really amazing that the Prophet, when he wanted to make dua for his religion to become strong, he didn't say, Ya Allah, money, Ya Allah. He said, Ya Allah, give izzat to Islam through one of these two men. That's how it works. It's people. Alright. Very good. So, typically this is the stuff you skip, right? Linguistically what da'wah means and technically what it means. Linguistically is what a word means in the language. And technically, or the Islamic definition, is what the word means in Islam. Like for example, salah. Salah in the language means dua. وَصَلِّ عَلَيْهِمْ إِنَّ صَلَاتَكَ سَكَنٌ لَهُمْ. Salli alayhim means make dua for them here. Now, salah in Islam, have you made salah? Means standing and praying. Prayer. You can't tell me, yeah, I made salah. I didn't see you get up. Yeah, man, just right here. No, you can't mix the technical and linguistic definition. Linguistically, da'wah has a number of different meanings. And each one of them has a clear verse in the Quran showing this different meaning. And these are like completely different words here. But da'wah means all these linguistically. But technically in Islam, it means to call or invite people to Allah Azza wa Jalla. And it comes from this root tad'u, which means to invite, to call. So what's the importance of this? Just from the definition of da'wah, we learn something about the nature of da'wah. And that is, da'wah is an invitation. And if it's an invitation, it cannot be a fight. One of the things about da'wah training is not really teaching the new way of giving da'wah, but I found over the years it's mostly unlearning the wrong way of giving da'wah. You understand? Unlearning the wrong way of giving da'wah. Many du'at think their job is to go and push and punish and paint the guy into a corner and strangle him and tighten it, and with the last breath before they die, they'll say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. That's what du'at think. And so, UK, South Africa, wherever we do da'wah training, we gotta talk, it's not about fighting with people. Because if it's an invitation, it just by its nature can't be a fight. When is the last time someone invited you to their house like this? Grabbed you, put their fist in your face, said, listen, So Rihanna at my place Wednesday. Going to show up. Is that an invitation? Oh, this is wonderful. I'd love to show up. It's not an invitation. So that means if I'm inviting people to Allah, it's not a fight. I'm standing there at the da'wah table or wherever I am, and I'm smiling, I'm welcoming people, I'm trying to talk to people. If they say something rude, I thank them for their time, have a nice day. That's what it's like. For customer service, people push their egos, their pride aside, and they're very understanding and apologetic and smiling and courteous, and you insult them and they take it for the sake of what? Some money. For the sake of Allah Azza wa Jalla, you should be doing 10 times more. True or false? True. Very good. So, moving on. You might say, well, let's just get right into it. What do I say? No, let's understand this stuff first. Because this is absolutely important. You see, and we want it here, this is part of the verse, okay? In this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells the Prophet وَإِنَّكَ لَتَهْدِي إِلَى صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ. Verily you guide to the straight path. So in this verse, it affirms that the Prophet guides. Now look at the other verse here. إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي مَن يَشَاءُ. Verily you do not guide those whom you love, but Allah guides whomever He wills. So what's going on then? You guide or not? The scholars say the way to understand it is that there are two types of guidance, right? Up over there, Hidayatul Irshad, your job as du'at. Irshad is directing, right? To direct people to the truth. That is your job. And that's the end of where your job is. That's it, finished. Alright? I just have to direct people to the truth. Explain to you who Allah is, that He is one, that He sent a messenger, and His name is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If I need to explain more, any other aspect, fine. Answer questions, fine. But I'm directing you to what the truth is, what will take you to Jannah. That's it. Your job's over, you're done. The second part, Hidayat al-Tawfiq, and Hidayat al-Tawfiqiyya, this is up to Allah Azza wa Jalla to open their heart to Islam. Don't confuse the two. Many people who are good du'at think they're not good du'at because people don't become Muslim. Okay, wait. See, no one's becoming Muslim. I'm not good at this. They think their job is this, to open their heart to Islam. Now, they're speaking about Islam and they're doing a very good job. Their speech is prepared and everything. So technically, by definition, they're excellent du'at. They're guiding them to the truth. The other part is not their job. So they're still an excellent da'i. Being a good da'i or a bad da'i has nothing to do with results. Are you telling me Nuh was not a good da'iyah? He was a superb da'iyah, come on. 950 years, that was not the age of Nuh, by the way. 950 years is the time he spent in da'wah. So when did he start? Some scholars say when he was 50, some say when he was 100 and 150. And then he spent 950 years of da'wah, calling people. And you know, by night, by day, in public and in private. And then you do this, can you imagine now? Someone did that, man. Oh, giving this person da'wah, call him and they just do this and walk away. Yeah, listen to what I say. This will save you, thank me later. You know something? He went through a lot, and in the end, وَمَا آمَنَ مَعَهُ إِلَّا قَلِيلٌ. A few believed in him. So you telling me he gets no reward for 950 years? He just gets 5, 6, 7 rewards? No. You get reward just for the act of giving da'wah, not for the number of people who change. I spoke to my sister about hijab, she didn't put her hijab on. I don't get reward? No, it doesn't work like that. But people want instant results. Du'at want to talk to someone while they're speaking, the person's beard is growing. Or the sister, while she's speaking, she tears something off and just wraps it around her head. It doesn't work like that. Your job is this, to direct people to the truth. And that's why, and when it comes to directing, Ya Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you guide people to the straight path. But when it comes to opening their hearts, you do not guide those whom you love. You see the difference? So as long as you know, and I always talk, why are these two slides important? Because now that you know this distinction, you can move mountains. Everyone in this room, how old are you? 13, wonderful age, thank you. So 13, you can move mountains. How? How can a 13-year-old move mountains? Because this 13-year-old, he is not making things up. He's quoting Allah Azza wa Jalla. You understand? When I tell someone a Quranic verse, I am quoting something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke. Because the Quran is the speech of Allah, right? I'm quoting Allah Azza wa Jalla, people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's words can crush and crumble mountains. So this human being I'm speaking to is not any harder than a mountain. And I'm happy you said 13, because one time I was giving a da'wah class, a sister put her hand up and she said, can a 13-year-old give da'wah to a 45-year-old? Actually, a brother was 14, a young man who was 13. He said, can a 13-year-old give da'wah to a 45-year-old? And this man got the perfect answer. The answer wasn't from me. Another sister put her hand up. And she wanted to share the story so this young man could hear it. She said, my younger brother is 13. And our neighbor is about 45. SubhanAllah, look at the numbers. Exactly. And he spoke to our neighbor and the neighbor took Shahada. You can move mountains. All you have to do is know your job. My job is to direct you to the truth. And the rest is up to Allah Azza wa Jalla. Now, when you look at it through these lenses, you know that there is nobody that you can't move. And nothing's impossible and nobody's difficult. Okay? And not to sound arrogant, but people always ask me, who are the most difficult people to talk to? And I always give the same answer. I don't know. I don't see people in those terms. Like, is the atheist the most difficult? No, it's not. Because the atheist has the weakest argument of all people. You understand? So, who is the most difficult? There isn't. Because my job is to speak to people. I'm not making this up for the sake of the point. I really don't see people as difficult. My job is to speak. So, speaking isn't difficult. I actually have a difficulty shutting up. Okay? Speaking isn't difficult. So, and the second part, nobody would dare say is difficult for Allah Azza wa Jalla. That means I can approach anybody. I don't care if you're a celebrity, I don't care if you're a politician, the president of a nation, whoever you are, you give me 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I'm going to talk to you, and nothing's difficult. Because I did my job, I spoke to you, and the rest is up to Allah. My job wasn't difficult, and Allah's is definitely not difficult. So what's the problem? You understand? Okay, what I'm trying to tell you is something else also, it's very important. That this coming week, when you go into any conversation, you're going in on top. You're going in superior. You're going in confident. And that's something very important. Anytime you have a discussion with someone, you walk in knowing that you have the upper hand, because you have the only truth. We're the only nation on earth that has the truth. So many Muslims from traveling around the world, they're afraid of the atheist. They're scared to death of the atheist. And the atheist is the only one that Allah dedicated just 2 verses in the Quran to refute. Just 2. But you've got entire surah refuting the Jews, refuting pagans, idol worshippers, whole surah refuting Christianity, but just 2 verses only for the atheists, because it's such a useless argument. It's such a weak argument. So I go into any conversation, I'm the educator. I'm the one who's trying to save you from the hellfire. I'm trying to guide you to the truth. And I never go in, and we believe, you know something? I don't even remember saying we believe. Muslims believe, it's just like it's something that we believe. No, I'm telling you what the truth is. Well, we believe this, what do you believe? Okay, fine, you believe, I believe, lakum dinakum, see you in the hellfire. No, this is the truth. I'm telling you what Allah accepts, what Allah does not accept, how we should be towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have the truth. So you go into any conversation confident. What if I don't know anything about the other party? It doesn't matter. You do know this. You know that you have the truth, and if they're not Muslim, they're upon falsehood. True? Just by knowing this, just these 2 points, you're going like this, superior. You're going as the educator. You're not going in to get da'wah from the person. You're going in to give da'wah, right? And that's why a couple of guidelines is when you do your da'wah tables. I know I'm skipping ahead, but it's all da'wah, right? That is, try to have partners. Don't you ever allow someone to come in and take over your da'wah, ever. Meaning, I'm speaking to a non-Muslim here, and then some enlightened white guy Buddhist walks in. And he takes over from you, and you're just not listening to him. No, ever. If that happens, if you ever see 2 or 3 people gang up on one of the du'at, you go in, okay, and you break that up. How do you break that up? So, and I actually did this in Ireland. So one guy, he was talking to someone, and then this other, enlightened guy, I don't know, came in and started to take over his da'wah. So now it's 2 against 1, in a way. So I came in to help him, he walked away. No, Habibi, that's not how it works. We split them apart. How do you split 2 people apart? It's very easy. It happened one time. We were giving da'wah to an individual, and he's, everything I'm saying, yes, I'm seeing da'wah, I'm seeing Shahada in my head, right? I'm seeing Shahada here. S, right? And he's agreeing with everything. Then, while I'm talking to him, he sees a buddy of his. He waves to him, the guy comes next to him. And now I continue my talk, and then his friend starts saying, yeah, but what about this? And then the guy who was agreeing with me 2 seconds ago started saying, yeah, what about that? What about that? And he started sounding like his friend. So he knew immediately we have to split him up. That's what happens when you have a good partner. You don't have to ever wink at your partner. Your partner who knows what's going on. Plus, if you wink, they will catch you winking. It's very bad. It's not good for Dawah. But immediately, so I'm talking to this guy, his friend is over here, my partner stepped in over here, started speaking to him, and we separated them. We put a distance between them. How do we do that? Come, I need to talk to you. No, very simple. While I'm speaking to him, I take a step over this way. And in human conversation, we keep a certain distance, and we maintain that distance. If he moves back, I'll move closer, right? And if he moves closer, I'll move back. I'll keep that same distance. So when I took a step over and I'm talking to him, he took a step over without even feeling it. My partner took a step over this way, the man takes a step over this way. Look at, we already have just in one step each, we've got 2 huge gaps, the steps between us now. One more step and boom, we're in different sides of the, right? So, and what do you think? Like, I'm going to keep taking steps and he's going to remain over there? No, brother, I was saying, he's going to move over, right? Okay. So far, we've got something, we've learned like 2 very powerful things. One, it's not a fight. For the sake of Allah, don't fight with people. Please, okay? And that's why, look, I'm sorry, but these du'at who think da'wah is debating with non-Muslims, I'm sorry, they're missing the point. And you think I'm being severe. Listen, debate is one mystical way of giving da'wah. It is not the default way of giving da'wah. So all they do is they antagonize non-Muslims, day in and day out, for years and years, organizations just debating. Debate, put it on YouTube. Debate, put it on YouTube. That's my critique when I go to the UK. Every time I'm in the UK, after my lecture, they have announcements. Brothers, this is some announcements. There's a debate on Tuesday, right? And there's a debate Wednesday. Why are you guys debating all the time? So now when I come to talk to a non-Muslim in the street, they do this. But no, I just want to talk to you. No, I know how you guys talk. I've seen videos. You guys, when you talk, it's just a fight. But I'm not trying to fight with you. But that's what I see from Muslim-Christian dialogue is fighting. I debate atheists, debate Christians, debate this, debate that, antagonize people all the time. That's not good da'wah. But those organizations think it's good da'wah, all right? And if you're thinking of any specific organization, I always speak to people who debate, and those famous speakers that you know who are always debating, I've always given them advice, don't do this, this is nonsense, all right? The other thing is, people love that. They watch these debates and they think that's da'wah. And so whenever they get a chance, they want to be a mini fill in the blank, you know? And like I said, there's a time and place for it. I do believe that initially, when Shaykh Ahmad rahimahullah started debating, he did something that was very, very needed for the ummah. He was like of the first people, even though he himself was inspired by Shaykh rahimahullah from when he read his book, Al-Haq. But the point is that he was instrumental in teaching, giving courage to Muslims and to du'at, saying, you can read their own book and destroy people with it. You understand? That was a very important book, but many people thought that's the default. That's all I have to do all the time. So you're gently speaking to people. It's an invitation. The second thing is that nothing and nobody can stop you. It doesn't matter what the person looks like. They're a punk. They've got orange hair that's standing up, whatever. They've got piercings and tattoos all over their face. It doesn't matter because all you have to do is what? Canada, yes, I know. Canada now. In America, people will answer you back. Yes, come on, people. I need some Egyptians in here. Any Egyptians in here? Egyptians talk back. African Americans, right? No? Nah? Yeah, talk. That's all you have to do. Thank you very much. All you have to do is speak. And the rest is up to Allah. Just do your part. Don't worry about Allah's job. Okay? Wonderful. That's you. That's you. Not that guy. That. Oh, by the way, who's our timekeeper? And just give me a 10 and a 5 before break or something. All right? Very good. Look, I've got stories for every point and all that, but I don't have time for that. Just take my word for it. I know what I'm doing. All right. In all humility, right? So, first of all, just be yourself, like we said. You're out there, you're smiling, you're having a good time. Many du'at are addicted to da'wah because it's so fun. So have a good time, right? Don't sit there all worried and stuff. Well, I'm shy. Don't worry about being shy. Most of us are shy. And most of us are introverted perhaps, right? And it's hard for us to walk up to strangers. Even when I went to, I hadn't done street da'wah in years. Now to discover Islam in Ireland, it was like, oh, come, we're going to videotape you. Like, first of all, no videotaping. I don't know if I'm good at this still. It's been years, all right? And then the second thing is, it's been years when I just didn't step into people's faces, complete stranger. Hey, let me talk to you for 5 minutes, sir. It's like weird for me anymore. But all you have to do is yell at the first guy, yell at the second guy, third, and boom, it's over. It's like jumping into a cold swimming pool or taking a cold shower. Your heart stops for a second, but then you get used to it. It becomes normal. Right, so be yourself. Don't try to use big words. Just keep it simple. Keep the message beautiful, keep it simple. One of the most effective du'at I've seen in my life, all he does is he has the same speech for everybody. One more time. He has the same speech for everyone. A homeless guy in the street, they'll give him the same speech. Professors at the university, he does a lot of university da'wah. And it's the same speech. And every time it's like, he's got the da'wah touch, this guy, like the Midas touch. Everyone he speaks to takes Shahada, this guy. I'm not exaggerating. It's probably one of the most effective, not successful, but the most effective du'at I've ever seen in my life. Every single day you see him, oh yeah, six people took Shahada yesterday, 5 people took Shahada. We just woke up, how did 5 people take Shahada? He's like that. Okay? But he had one simple speech, no fancy words, no dates, no scientific facts, and this philosopher said that, and he just speaks nice and normal. It works, everybody understands it. Your main topic is Tawheed. I'm going to illustrate later on how your talking points are going to move progressively. Find out who you're talking to. Don't assume everyone's a Christian. Don't assume everyone's an atheist. And open the file for the right person only. Like I knew one guy, like no matter who is in the backseat, he's a cab driver in New York. I always tell this story. He has a speech where he goes through every religion to try to get down to the guy behind him. But why? I mean, and he would say, now I'm going to talk about Judaism. Now I'm going to talk about Christianity. And the guy in the back is an atheist. So why waste your time? Find out which file you need to open. So I meet an individual. What's your religion? Some people, and I've noticed, don't like the what's your religion. But what was your religious background? Or what do you consider yourself right now? And then they say agnostic. I have the agnostic file. I click on it. Christian. I click on the Christian file. Atheist. Click on the atheist file. Click on the right file. That's why. You need to find out who you're talking to. 20 years ago, I was doing Dawah in America. I used to assume everybody in the street was a Christian who believed in Trinity. I would spend 20 minutes proving that Jesus is not the Son of God. And then when I established that point to move forward, they're like, yeah, but I never said he was. I don't believe he's the Son of God. 20 minutes wasted. Okay. Sometimes you need to do this as well. Find out how much knowledge they have on the subject. And you can do this naturally without asking, but you don't have a quiz for them to fill out. You just can figure out immediately who has some knowledge of Islam, who doesn't. A month ago, a month and a half, I was in Toronto. I was speaking to someone, 2 guys, atheists. They left Islam and became atheists. One of them, the last time he was Muslim when he was 10 years old. So he literally knows nothing. Okay, figuratively. Knows nothing about Islam. He's trying to tell me about Sharia rulings. I'm like, what do you know about Sharia? I used to be a Muslim. Yeah, so we are. You were 10 years old when you left. What do you know at 10 years old? He's like talking as if like he was a mufti of Al-Azhar and then he left Islam. You don't know anything. So, figure this out. And you figure that out just from them speaking. Avoid arguments. How do you stop someone who's argumentative? It's very easy. 1, just ignore the fact that they're arguing, continue nicely with that big smile and everything, and they'll reciprocate. This is how humans communicate. So if I come to your house, knock on the door, you open the door like, Assalamu alaikum, how are you doing? And you say, how are you? How's everything? Good to see you. What will I do? Continue? Hey! What will I do? Come on, Canadians. You guys don't like to talk back at all. Need some Egyptian blood here. Come on now. You start to whisper immediately, right? You reciprocate. If someone's angry and yelling, you start to yell. But guess what? Psychologists say something about human communication is that we will match each other. So if I'm speaking slowly, the other person will speak slowly. If I'm speaking at a louder voice, the other person will raise their voice. If I speak faster, naturally, subconsciously, the other person will speak faster. We match each other in conversation. So now that I know this is a tool for me now. So if someone comes to me and he's speaking in an arrogant way, all I have to do is remain friendly, and guess what will happen in 3 minutes? Well, you have two choices. One, I will start to sound arrogant in 3 minutes, or if I remain calm, he will speak in my way exactly. And I'm telling you this, I've tried it many times. I always try this technique. Just someone speaking to you in a condescending manner, or very, very angry or agitated, and you just remain calm and watch. 2-3 minutes later, they sound exactly like you. So, if someone's being argumentative, just keep calm and keep speaking in the same exact way. They're going to reciprocate. That's one. Two, sometimes you have to make a strategy on the spot. We were in Austin, Texas, and they took us to some tourist location for Dawah, which I told them was a very bad idea. We need to go to the ghettos. And so I insisted we went to the ghettos. It was wonderful. In the ghetto, it was hugs and pats and shoulders and all this stuff, and then exchanging phone information, people wanting to become Muslim, interested. Then we went to the tourist area. They wanted to argue about everything you can argue about. You stop a guy like, good morning, sir. Well, it's 12 o'clock, so it's technically the afternoon. You want to argue already. So we came up with a plan at that point. All of the, I've noticed everyone's just being argumentative. So we came up with this sentence, and nobody argued for the rest of the day. And that is, every time someone started to argue, we would say, I'm actually not here to argue with you, sir. We're only here to share our beliefs. And that puts people to shame. Have you ever said to someone, I'm not here to argue with you, I just want to share what I believe in. Well, I am here to argue. It's really awkward. And we started using this for the rest of the day. And every time we said it, the person would say, I'm so sorry, go ahead, sir, go ahead. Because all I'm saying to you now is like, I'm just sharing my beliefs with you. I'm not even forcing it down your throat. I'm not even trying to, I am. But I'm not trying to get you to become Muslim. Wink, wink. And so I'm just talking to you. That's all. And people felt ashamed to me. What if the person says, well, I am here to argue with you? We'll say, well then, because a coworker said that to me one time. I pulled this on him and it didn't work. He said, well, I'm here to argue. I said, well, how about this? We'll continue this conversation another time. Because if you just want to argue, it's not conducive to the truth. You're just going to argue with whatever I say for the sake of arguing. We'll continue another time. I turned around, started working, and he was like this. And what do you think the next time we want to talk about this, he's going to do that again? No. So it's win-win, inshallah. Wonderful. That's who you are. You're the educator. You're here. So when the person's being arrogant, they don't know that the hellfire is black, people. You understand? Oh, they're being arrogant and they're doing this and they're making fun. Yeah, where do they get their information from? Television. So it's okay, you're the educator. Oh, you know anything about Islam, sir? Oh, aren't you the ones who worship the black box? Customer service, right? You never make them feel stupid. Well, I can see why you think of it that way, but actually we do not worship the box. Let me explain what we do worship. Boom. Yeah? Never make anyone feel stupid. Find out obstacles, we're going to come to that in a bit. Yeah, all questions are intelligent. Obstacles can be humans, that's why we split up if you have a partner. I recommend for Islamic Awareness Week, and even until this day, I would prefer to have a partner. Anytime, I would love to have someone standing next to me, for many reasons. It gives me confidence. Sometimes I don't see what the other person is saying, or I don't hear what the other person is saying. He understands it better, he jumps in and saves the day. Or sometimes you get jammed, it happens, I don't care how much experience you have. Just the other day, someone's walking by. Many years ago, someone's walking by, and I said something to him, my regular spiel, my same script, and the guy threw something at me that I was not expecting. So I stepped back, he threw something in I wasn't expecting, my partner jumped in and saved the day. So having a partner is very important, especially if you don't have much Dawah experience. So break up into groups of 2. If there's an absolute emergency, 3. But I cannot think of a reason why there should be more than 3 Muslims surrounding a non-Muslim. I cannot think of a reason at all. Unless you're giving Dawah to an elephant, we need like 7. but this is what happens. When you've got 4 Muslims staring like this, there's a non-Muslim in the middle, like 4 or 5 or 6, 2 things happen. 1, they get scared. Especially they're all like this. They get scared. 2, if they don't get scared, they find an audience. I'll never forget this guy. He was Far East Asian one time, speaking to a Muslim, and the guy just looked nice and calm and everything. Then, like a circle of Muslims came around him, and he saw an audience, and his posture changed. His posture changed. His chest came out like this, his shoulders went back, and he just started, like basically playing to the crowd, holding his ground, Now, I tell him a point, even if he agrees, he's going to argue because he wants to, there's an audience now. Whereas before, he was agreeing with me. So make sure that if you're at least 2 per person. I don't know why there would have to be 3, but if need be, fine, 3, but just 2. Again, it gives you confidence, you help each other, and you don't interrupt each other, like one sentence here, one sentence here, the non-Muslim like this. Huh? Just one person speaking. If I miss a point and there's a good reason for me to interrupt my partner, I will. If there isn't, I'll never interrupt my partner. Alright? Very good. Okay. Very good. Don't attack or be aggressive. I think we should have all that, have this point by now, clearly. Because what happens mentally when you attack someone, their belief, whatever they like, then they put a mental block. They become defensive, you understand? So sometimes you meet these people who are like, oh no, hey man, pot is just a plant, man. That kind of nonsense, right? I met a guy like this, like his whole issue was legalizing marijuana. This was many years ago. Now, mashallah, America is becoming legal all over. But that's what the first thing he wanted to see if Islam is going to support his pot nonsense. So I'm like, just figuratively brush that aside. Let me talk to you about Tawheed first, okay? If you believe in Allah, you will stop smoking pot, inshallah. Okay? But if I would have started attacking his pot and you told me, no man, it's just a plant, man. I know it's a plant, you idiot. But it does things to your plant. Okay, anyway. Where are we? Yes. I'll skip the second point. There's a story behind it. It's just not applicable to where we are today. Don't be evasive as a da'iyah, be straightforward. Allah in the Quran is very straightforward. That means that's the best mode of communication for humans. That's the best way we understand dialogue is when it's straightforward. When a da'iyah is not straightforward and he's evasive, what happens is that the other person starts to think, oh, I found a hole in your religion. There is something wrong, and that's why you're not answering me. Just like if you ask some tough Trinity questions, the missionary will evade the question. And internally, what do you think to yourself? I got him. That's why he's not answering the question. So you're the Muslim with the truth. There is nothing in our religion that we hide, true or false? Nothing. Is there anything? Tell me if it is. There's nothing we hide in Islam, right? Mormon missionaries, for example, they'll hide their belief in God, what they believe about God, until you go through a lot of desensitization before they finally let you know what they believe about God. Because it's a very bad belief. And they're ashamed of it. They even say that we don't say this in public. Because it's so shameful. Because they believe God used to be a human who sinned and then one day made Tawbah and started practicing. Then when he went to heaven, he became a God and they gave him an earth. And they believe that they'll go to heaven and each one of them will have an earth and will be the God of that earth. Earthquake Taiwan. Like that. But they don't say that when they knock on your door. They tell you, we want to learn to become like God. What they really say is to become gods eventually. So, they're very ashamed of that belief. And they never come to you with it from the beginning. And if you ask them about it, immediately their head looks down. Immediately. So, when you're being evasive as a da'iyah, the other person thinks, oh, there's a hole, I found something wrong with Islam, that's why he's avoiding it. Don't avoid anything. Answer whatever and address whatever needs to be addressed, but your focus is on your main topic. Your main topic is always Tawheed. Now what if I'm talking to someone about Tawheed, but they're really bothered by ISIS? Should I stop talking about Tawheed? Yes, long enough to handle this issue. He's not hearing anything you're saying until you get rid of ISIS for him. I'm just using ISIS as an example. It could be anything. One person came to me at the Dawah, this was in Calgary. And before he said anything, he just came and pointed to the Quran and he said, what does this book say about how old the earth is? You know what he's trying to find out? If the Muslims are like the Christians who say the earth is 6,000 years old. And we've done carbon dating on fossils that say it's millions of years old. So he wants to know that if you tell me the earth is 6,000 years, I'm not even talking to you, I'm going to leave right now. It's just a nonsense religion. Get it? So, do I start with Tawheed? I'll tell you how old the earth is. Let me start by talking about Tawheed. Do you think that will work? No, he's like, no. I want to hear this first. So, if you're just curious what I told him, I said, look, this book, first and foremost, it's a book of guidance. It's not a geology book, it's not a history book. There's some history, there's some science, but first and foremost, it has everything in it that will take you to paradise and help you avoid the hellfire. That's what it's mainly about. But as far as how old the earth is, this book does not comment on that. The minute I said that to him, he was comfortable. So that was if we go back to that slide, that was the obstacle and the issue for him. The minute you recognize that, fix it. So the minute I said that to him, it's like, now we can talk. So if I would have said, yeah, 6,000 years old, he would have walked away. So this is an issue. Fix it, now you get back to your main topic. Are we clear? Now I should actually ask if there are any questions. Now, pay attention. When I ask you if there are any questions, I mean, are there any questions about anything I've said since walking in? So don't put your hand up and say, what about the atheist? We're coming to the atheist. Don't say, what about Jesus? We're coming to that. So anything since I walked in, started speaking, anything you want to clarify before we continue? Yes? I just said we're going to the very good. I like your
So if you bring to a point and you don't want to be evasive, but you don't know how to answer it.
Yeah, wonderful. Allah. So Brother Mustafa said, if you bring up a point, it's going to be important to him, but you don't know how to answer it, what do you say? I always tell people, let me introduce you to your best friend as a da'iyah. Your best friend as a da'iyah is I don't know. There's no rule that says, because I'm calling you to Islam, I have infinite knowledge. Ask me anything. Big Bang, I'll tell you what time it happened. No, I have limited knowledge, okay? And there are some things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala purposely didn't tell us about Himself, about how He created. You don't have to, like you have to know that Allah created you, but you don't have to know how He created you. True or false? True. So, your best friend as a da'i is I don't know. And I don't have time to go into it, but research has shown that people like you more when you say I don't know, and they find you more credible when you say I don't know. People think that if they George Bush it, it'll be better. But that's worse. That's why we laugh at George Bush, because he's an idiot, because he tries to wing it. But if he said I don't know, we'd respect that. Studies even show when you make a mistake and you fumble, people like you more. Then versus when you're just everything's on point and you know everything. People don't like that guy. You immediately dislike it. So your best friend as a da'i is I don't know. And if the answer is somewhere out there, and for example, if someone asks you, how did Allah create the heavens and the earth? I'll say, Allah didn't tell us that, because that's not essential to us making it to Jannah or avoiding the hellfire. Alright? But what if someone asks me a question, the answer is there, I just don't know. Maybe it's a question about qadr or something like that. So okay, I don't know the answer to that question, but that doesn't mean there isn't an answer. I can get back to you on that. Okay? You know when people are texting each other and then they write ITK? What does that mean? SubhanAllah. Every time I ask people this question, nobody knows that. Anyway. That's according to nobody knows that. What does ITK mean? I don't know. Yes, sir.
Let's say if someone was stuck on an issue, and what's the difference between someone who's being evasive or using wisdom? Like, it's in the beginning stages, so you don't want to tell them everything, you know, on a specific sensitive topic, but you want to use wisdom.
Okay.
For instance, like homosexuality, you want to say that Islam stands for like human rights and things like that, and then, but you don't want to be evasive, you know, like how would you do that?
Yeah, okay. That's a very good question. Like someone wants to start off with homosexuality immediately,
Yeah.
right? It's kind of like, there's the general guideline stays the same, even though sometimes that might change. Like for example, one time we're doing Dawah in DC, and there was a girl, and she was straight, but she had some gay friends. So it wasn't like a make it or break it thing for her. But so I was able to answer the question there. And sometimes people just want to test you, all right? And you tell the truth. Now, you can tell the truth in a nice way. For example, many times people will come and ask you, and I want you to pay attention to this question. A Christian will come and say, what do Muslims believe will happen to Christians? Now, just even a few weeks ago, someone in Ireland asked me this question. What do I say if someone asks me that? And this is really, in a way, it's not a trick question, they're just testing you. Because every Christian knows what Muslims think will happen to Christians. And every Christian knows what they think will happen to Muslims. True? What do you think? You'll be higher than them in Jannah? They don't believe that. They believe you didn't take the Lord Jesus Christ as your Savior. That was my white guy. What will happen to you? They believe you'll be in the hellfire. So, and most people, forget Christians, Muslims, most religions are based on the idea that we're right and others are wrong. So the right ones go to paradise and everyone else goes to the hellfire. That's almost all religions. Because if one religion believes everyone's going to paradise, then okay, then why join this religion? Just join anyone. So what they're really doing is they're just testing you to see what you're going to say. They already know the answer. So don't be worried about it. Now answer it without lying, but you can still be diplomatic. You can still have some finesse, some tact. Okay? So typically if someone comes to me and says, what does Islam say will happen to Christians? I'll say, look, it's basically just like what Christians believe will happen to Muslims. Primarily, the majority of religions on earth believe that they're upon the truth, and if you're not upon what they're upon, you're upon falsehood. So in general, we do believe that only Muslims will make it to paradise. But that is not an individual condemnation of people. I cannot pick a certain individual and say this person will go to the hellfire, that person will go to the hellfire. But in general, we say that if you don't believe in Allah, that He's one, that Muhammad is His final messenger, that you will not find the way to paradise. It's just the same answer, but I'm not like going to tell the guy, no, actually I believe you will be in hell, your mother too, your grandmother, all you guys are going to burn. Okay? I can't say that. So that's all they're doing. So the guy comes to you, and you know how they come up to you. You know when they're loaded and charged up already. This is your da'wah table, and this is the guy. Hey, what does this religion say about homosexuals? You know he did. He found some video online or something already. So he's already charged up. He just wants to see if you're going to confirm what he read on the internet. So listen. So just tell him. Look, we do believe that. Huh? Run fast. Now, look. By the way, and I think you know that my gay story, right? We're giving dawah to this guy. I'm talking about being perceptive and everything. We're giving dawah to this guy in DC, and I worked him up to the Shahada. When I asked for the Shahada, he said no. I said, why not? He said, my lifestyle won't allow it. I'm like, what is this lifestyle? What are you talking about? And because my gaydar is broken, you understand? And some people have strong gaydar. Put your hand up if you have strong gaydar. Okay? Brothers have strong gaydar. And you can just tell. My younger brother has got very strong gaydar. He just, not even 1 second, he's like, he's good. I'm like talking to the guy and I still don't realize it, right? And so I worked him up to the Shahada again. Asked him for the Shahada, he's like, I can't. My lifestyle won't allow it. I said, what are you talking about? What lifestyle? I've been doing this for years. I've never heard someone say lifestyle. What is your lifestyle? He said, I'm gay. And only when he said that, I realized that he's wearing a pink t-shirt, and pink shoes, and then I noticed other things, But the point is, at that time, we didn't know what to say to him. So this was our response, me and my partner. We just kept staring at him. Now, then we sat back, and this is one thing you should do at the end of your Islam Awareness Week. Very important. So I have to sit down. Everyone that took part in the tables, sit down and talk about your experiences. What do you do by doing that? If I take 10 people out to give da'wah for 1 hour, and they've never given da'wah before, each one of them has 1 hour of experience, true? But if the 10 of us sit down, and each one of us talks about what they went through, we now have 10 hours of experience. Because I learned from all your other 9 hours, true? Somebody say true. True. Thank you. That's why sales teams, they'll have, you know how cubicles are this high? In sales teams, like very sales-driven companies, the cubicles, their wall is just with the desk. Why? So the sales team can talk to each other and talk about different techniques. So it's actually only after we sat down, one of the du'at taught us what to say if someone's gay. You can still become Muslim, because being gay is not a lifestyle, it's just a desire. That's all it is. And a desire is never a lifestyle. That's why in my Shahada course, I have a chapter called Hamburgers Are My Lifestyle. Because I personally come out and I'm like, I love hamburgers. If you wake me up 3 in the morning and shove a hamburger in my face, I'm not even going to ask you who you are, how'd you come here, I'm just going to say, Pickles ketchup? Fine. That's I love hamburgers. But I don't go introduce myself like that. So my name is Khan Maki, and hamburgers are my lifestyle. The other guy's like, how you doing? chicken for me. Just get like cat. What is it? KK. No? So all it is a desire. And a desire can always be overcome. Always. But if you take that desire and make it a right and a movement and a lifestyle, now you gotta work hard to get it. 5 minutes? Okay. Any other question? Yes, sir.
Okay, I have a general question. When we're talking about giving Dawah in 10 minutes and getting Shahada in 10 minutes, the first thing that comes to my mind is that the people who are taking Shahada in 10 minutes, they have no knowledge, they have no base. They will take 10 minutes to read something.
Okay, very good point. This is, I'll repeat it, and this is very, very common, I'll call it a misconception. People think that if you enter Islam quickly, you'll leave it quickly. And maybe if you enter it slowly, it'll take you longer or it'll be harder for you to leave it. It's actually, this is what I'm looking to bring it out. Look, it's something we need to unlearn as well. It's actually 2 stages. And we're so stuck on one stage. That's why, if I can use harsh terms, our dawah is failing in North America. Because we think dawah is one stage, and that is, I talk you up to the Shahada, I give you the Shahada, I come back home or to the masjid and I boast about it. And that's it. But there are actually 2 stages. Number 1 is me talking you up to the Shahada. Number 2 is the more important stage, follow-up. I'm going to ask you a question that I've been asking du'at for many, many years now. Because the next best thing to having good research is getting collective information from many people who have multiple years of experience. If I give Shahada, I'll bring you a team to Edmonton, and I can do this inshallah. I can bring you a team of some of my old du'at friends to Edmonton, and we can get you 100 Shahadas a week, a month. We can actually do 100 a week too, inshallah, but we're going to get you 100 Shahadas a month. Suppose we get 100 Shahadas this month, and then nobody calls any of these people ever again. And I come back to Edmonton 2 months later, and I call each and every one of these 100 who accepted Islam. How many of them, or what percentage do you think will remain Muslim? 0? 10%? 1%? 5? 3?
I'd say 90%, but some of them will be practicing it.
90% will remain upon Islam. Wow. I mean, we're just guessing, right? We're just throwing numbers out. Okay. Now, realistically, it's about 1 to 2% will remain Muslim without following. 1 to 2%. You know why? Because we think dawah is talking you up to the Shahada, and once you take it, you're good. No. The second stage is equally as important. Now, when you realize the second stage is there, the first stage doesn't matter. Meaning, it doesn't matter if you took Shahada in 5 minutes or 5 years. What matters is the second stage of the following. And I'm not to make this up, inshallah, I'm telling you from experience where I've given Shahada to a guy in 7 minutes. I remember very well. I'm actually going to tell you the story because we build upon it. And he followed up with me. He was very serious about Islam. There's another guy, which is a point I skipped there about not making a judgment based on looks, and he just looked crazy. He had white contact lenses on. He was a tall, pale white guy. He had tattoos from here to his wrists. He's wearing a sleeveless shirt. He's got piercings all over his face, bandana, and it's just white contact lenses. You know what a person looks like, and then 4 gold teeth here. And when I saw him, I thought, this guy's a shaitan, forget it. I talked to this guy and his wife. I speak to the man and his wife, I turn around, the brother's calling us to hear him take his Shahada. And he said, I got out of bed today searching for Allah. He said it like that, searching for Allah. It was a Million Family March. So he came wanting to become Muslim. And he kept telling us, I don't want to just do this now, I want to become a good Muslim and learn to pray and everything. So sometimes you find someone who became Muslim quickly, but good follow-up keeps them firm upon their religion. They become part of the community. And then you see people 3 years thinking and looking and studying and all that, and then in the end, no follow-up. So it's really about the second stage. And many people who were took Shahada in moments in the street were excellent Muslims later on. They don't praise them inside of Allah. And I'm like thinking of people that I know when I'm saying this. It's all about the second stage, right? But very good point, very good concern. Very kind? Wonderful. So we've come to our, it seems as if I'm being aggressive with you. That's just because I'm excited telling you the story. Okay? So the guy said this, I said, what about this? I didn't really say it like that. I probably said, okay, what about this question? In a very calm way. But just in my excitement in telling you the story, some people do take it as this is how I speak to people, and it's not. Again, we're very calm. You're the educator. You're gently calling them to the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All right? So now, this section here, third section, I don't know, it's one. Section 1 was, we're talking about Dawah itself. Section 2, about you, the da'iyah. And section 3, about the mad'u, the person that you're calling to Allah. Now, you understand that for our purposes, we're talking about da'wah to non-Muslims. Because da'wah is also to Muslims as well, calling them back to Allah Azza wa Jal. But I've taken all of those slides out because this is Islam Awareness Week. But if I'm standing at the da'wah table and a confused Muslim comes up to me, you're going to address them. It's still da'wah, right? So, no, you come next week, this week for... Even at the da'wah table, I remember a guy came to me and he asked me why can't he eat pork. He used to eat pork. He's a Muslim, born Muslim. So deal with those issues as well. And this slide is just to say that you don't have one approach for one person. And I'm sorry, but I'm really not a fan of those da'wah programs because I have to be careful as I'm speaking here. I'm not trying to say like, oh, you just listen to me. Don't listen to what other people are saying. No, actually, there are a lot of superb du'at out there with superb arguments. I just don't like one rule to be broken, and that is there are no rules. That's it. There are no rules. So when someone says, say this, then that, and then that, and people follow the rule, this rule with everybody. So I was teaching this class in Montreal, and I went through some speaking points, and a guy put his hand up, he said, no. I went to a da'wah course, and they said you have to speak about the 6 pillars of Iman. Okay, why would you say that? Why do I have to speak about the 6 pillars of Iman? Just give me one reason. He wants to blindly follow this rule, even though it didn't apply. I'm telling him a story about a Baptist Christian, and I didn't talk about the 6 pillars of Iman. I just spoke about the 5 pillars of Islam. The guy's like, why didn't you speak about the pillars of Iman? This course said you have to do that. Don't listen to any of them. Don't blindly follow any rule in any course. Apply the right technique, the right tool at the right time. This man was a Baptist Christian. Why do I have to talk about the 6 pillars of Iman? What are the 6 pillars of Iman? Allah. We're already talking about that. Okay? And he believes in Allah. He believes in God. So skip. 2, angels. Why do I have to talk about the angels? He's a Baptist Christian. Books. Messengers. Last day, Baptist Christian? Yes. And Qadr, I don't care who you are, I'm not including Qadr in my da'wah talk. And you shouldn't either. True or false? Okay, good luck if you want to talk about Qadr. Do you have 10 hours, sir? Alright. So don't just follow any rule like that. And everything, okay, what about the rules I'm going to give you today? They're not rules, they're all suggestions, except for 2. They're all suggestions of what to say. Sometimes it's not the right thing to say. Sometimes I get rid of this script and I completely make up a new one on the spot. Because the guy's a 5%er and I've never spoken to a 5%er before. I don't have a script for that. I make it up on the spot. Da'wah is so situational that it's unfair when you make rules and tell you say this, then say that, then say that. It's so situational, it's so different. That's why I always say the da'iyah has to be malleable, okay? Flexible, bendable, alright? So many things can lead someone to become Muslim. So how can you put step 1, 2, 3, 4? You can't. And again, true story, this guy becomes Muslim. They asked him, how did you become Muslim? He said, I was buying drugs from a drug dealer at night. And the drug dealer, while we're doing the transaction, he just says to me, the guy's non-Muslim, the drug dealer. He says, you know who the best people are? Just randomly. You know who the best people are? Those Muslims, they're the best people. That'll be $100. He said, the guy said, I went home, smoked and snorted whatever he gave me. Woke up in the morning and said, that drug dealer, the honorable drug dealer said, the Muslims are the best people. He Googles Islam and becomes Muslim. Can you make a rule out of that? Unless the rule is start selling drugs. Again, it's so situational. So, I'm going to be offering suggestions on what to say. But they're not rules for you to follow. What is the best pamphlet? Not the Quran. Quran's not a pamphlet. Well, what's the best pamphlet? It's a trick question. So don't answer. What's the best pamphlet? Don't answer. It's a true question. There isn't. It depends on the person in front of you. In the old days, I used to have who invented the Trinity between these fingers, who was Muhammad ﷺ here, Jesus here, and the Prophet on Tawheed here. And I speak to the person, and based on who they are, I give them the right one. If they're Jesus, I give them the Jesus one. I'm not going to give them atheism one. It's not the best pamphlet for him. So, not all pamphlets are good, unfortunately, and not all good pamphlets are appropriate. Not all techniques should be followed to the T. There is no such thing. And use the proper technique in the proper place. Last thing, we go back to our slide. Very important. This guy, this is a true story. He said, I used a technique of the Prophet ﷺ, and it failed. His question is, how could it fail? It's a technique of the Prophet ﷺ and it failed. You remember the story of the Sahabi, the young man who came to the Prophet ﷺ, Ya Rasulullah, idhan fi zina. O Prophet of Allah, give me permission to commit zina. The Prophet ﷺ said, Atallahu li ummik. Would you accept that for your mother? He said, no. Would you accept that for your sister? He said, no. He said, in the same way, people don't accept that for their mothers and their sisters. End of story. This guy in America tried this technique. He can't believe it failed. He said, I was speaking to a non-Muslim, and he said, there's nothing wrong with zina. It's okay, as long as two consenting adults, it's fine. He said, the guy says to him, would you accept that for your mother? The guy's like, yeah, if she consents. So would you accept that for your sister? He said, yeah, if she consents. So how could the technique fail? Now someone put your hand up and tell me how the technique failed. Why it failed? Yes, sir. Okay, so the morality level is completely different. Yes? But why did he say yes? Here he said no. Okay, very good. Yeah? You want to say something? Anyone else?
Different audience?
Yes? Oh, I see what you're saying. He knew it was haram, but he wanted the permission to make it halal, and he didn't know they thought it was halal. It's even, you were correct, everything that was said was correct, but even further back. Yes, yes ma'am. Yeah, further back, this guy is Muslim. He knows Jannah. Now, he knows this is the Prophet of Allah he's speaking to. He knows halal and haram. This guy is not Muslim. You see what I'm trying to say? Like, apply the proper technique in the right place. People will hear this technique, oh, I want to try it. Islam Awareness Week. Okay, make sure it's the right situation as well. Right? Okay. So, your approach is going to be based on the person. If I tell you there's a non-Muslim outside right now, prepare your script and then go give it to them. You can't. No one in this room can do that. Because you go out and find out who they are, and based on who they are, you open the right script. True? Alright. Likewise, not only the place, the person, but the place makes a difference as well. I'm in a rally, it's loud, people are chanting things, and I'm trying to give dawah to someone. It's going to be very different than when we're in a library, or in another narration, library, and I'm trying to give dawah to someone. It's a black thing, people. Library. Now the dictionary accepts February as a correct variation of February. Yeah, they actually accept it now. Because if enough people mispronounce a word, it becomes, that's how language changes and evolves, right? So now February is correct. That upsets the rest of us who say February, correct? And there might be a point in the future where nuclear is accepted. Or realtor. You know what a realtor is? Real. So library might be accepted. You're writing a poem, we need something that rhymes with strawberry. Library. So, in any of these places, you see how the conversation changes completely? What is changing? In an elevator, what do I have? Seconds. What can I say in seconds? And look, who's the best teacher? Experience. I'm not talking about people, right? But experience is the best teacher. So, how can I say something so quickly and just be effective? You learn that through experience. One time a lady asked me, she's wearing niqab, she said, I'm at the cashier, at the register, and after I paid and everything, and the lady gives me back the receipt, then she says, by the way, why do you wear that? And she's already ringing up the next customer, like, How can I explain to you in this? So what do you think? What can you say? No time. What can you say? Be creative. Can I get your number? Come back. Yeah. Waste no time. I got you. I'm just trying to have fun with the answer, that's all. Any question? Even if I have the answer, can I get your number? I need your number first. Very good, okay. So can I get your number, all right? Something else. Right there, where are you? Register, yes.
Modesty. Modesty.
Modesty, that'll do it. You think that'll do it? Modesty, bam, in your face, walk away. Yes, sir. Because I choose to. Ain't nobody forced me to do this. I'm not a husband. I paid that. Okay, very good. Very good. Good. I like what you're doing. It's very creative. Very good. What? Go ahead.
God commanded.
What?
God commanded.
In your face. Like God commanded me to take that and walk away. Nice. Actually, because she was at the register. What do you see at the register? All these magazines, right? And what's typically on the magazine? Some woman barely wearing anything, right? Just become an object. So she can easily point to one and say, so I don't become like that. Bam! Think about that, lady, while you're having your tea. Whatever. You understand? So like, you come up with ways for, look, I think one of the most important things I'm going to tell you today is that whatever your script is, memorize it, repeat it, practice it. People think, oh, Dawah is just natural. Everything's ready. One guy was telling me, how do you have answers ready? How do you think? Because one day, I didn't have it ready. I went home hating myself, and I got it ready, and next time I was ready for it. Are you ready all the time? No, it's just one day I wasn't ready, and I prepared for it. You just keep preparing. Experience is your best teacher. So your speech about Allah Azza wa Jal, your Dawah spiel, your 5 or 6 minutes speech, you memorize it, and you just repeat the same old thing. So if I were here for the whole week, which when we had the summer this week in Calgary, we're staying at the Dawah table all week, right? And I repeat the same thing to every human being that walked up. I have my same speech, and I don't need to change it. It's not like, and there's no Oscars involved. It's just the same speech. What's the problem? It's a different person. And like, how do you flow so well? You practice it like crazy. That's how. Where do you practice? In your car. You practice. You're sitting by yourself, you practice. In the shower, you practice it as much as you can, right? So, I used to always be driving, I'll be driving my kid brother to his martial arts class or whatever, and I'm practicing Dawah speech. He would say, why are you speaking to yourself? I tell him, I'm practicing a speech. He was like a little kid. One day I'm driving him and he's talking to himself. I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm practicing a speech. What speech are you giving? Pokemon cards or what? The point is, you practice it, you have it down. So tonight you might, put down some bullet points and you just go over it. So tomorrow, when someone is standing in front of you, and that's, by the way, one of the ways to overcome being nervous, to overcome fear, is to kick into what you're used to. And that's how, if you think about why in sports, why they keep training. Like look, just in soccer, pass the ball, just keep passing it down the field and do it back again. And that's what we do week in, week out, just pass. So that when the game comes, you just kick into habit mode. Just quickly do the same thing they did in training. So train. Whatever your Dawah talk is, prepare it and have it memorized. Go through it all the time so it flows. All right. All right. Now, very quickly, I want you to pay attention to the fact that in the Quran, when Allah tells you to do something, He'll say it to you in different ways. Sometimes Allah will tell you the benefit of doing something. Sometimes He'll tell you the benefit of not doing something. Sometimes He'll tell you the harm of doing it. Sometimes the harm of not doing something. Sometimes He'll give you a parable. Sometimes a story of a prophet. Sometimes it's a command. Sometimes it's a threat. Sometimes it's a promise of reward. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses many different styles in the Quran because many different styles appeal to different people. So any human being on this earth can open the book of Allah and find a message or a technique or a style that speaks to them. Nobody reads the whole Quran but my style wasn't there. Everyone's going to be touched by that book because there are multiple approaches. Now, in the da'wah course, we typically go into the many different styles of da'wah. In the old days, there's something called a qassasin, who only tell stories. Only tell stories. They have some heartwarming or reminders in them, but that's all they do. Even if you ask them a fiqh question, once upon a time. Khalas, enough already. Then you have the mawa'id, the wa'ad, people who just come and scare you all the time. All the time. The hellfire is deep in the grave, and when the angel of death comes, what happens after a while is that the mawa'id, they lose their effect. That's why Ibn Mas'ud said that the Prophet يعني كان يتخولنا بالمواعظ مخافة السآمة علينا. Prophet would not overuse, he would fear overusing mawa'id, hellfire, stupors of death, the grave, the day of judgment. He would fear overusing it to the point where we become bored. If there's an imam in every Jum'ah khutbah about the hellfire, but guess what will happen after the third month of every Jum'ah about the hellfire? He starts in the hellfire. Yeah, we know it's loud, you know. His community is not going to be moved much by it anymore, right? So, but what I'm trying to say is that good du'at have many different techniques, many different ways. It's not just one way that I insist upon. One analogy and you have to get it. No, if you don't get the analogy, move on to another one, or a simpler one, or another topic. We learned this from Ibrahim alayhi salam, right? He was giving da'wah to a Nimrod. And the Nimrod was dumb. True or false? And Nimrod is so dumb that Nimrod is an insult in English. True? You say, get that Nimrod over there, and he's dumb. That's how dumb Nimrod was. So, ألم تر إلى الذي حاج إبراهيم في ربه أن آتاه الله الملك إذ قال إبراهيم عليه السلام argued with the man ربي الذي يحيي ويميت. My Lord is the one who gives life and death. So Nimrod should also do that. And the narration says that he took a man, just an innocent man, to have him killed. Another man that was on death row, as they say, and he said, let him go. So he thought he brings life and death. Now, he completely missed the analogy, didn't he, right? Ibrahim could have told him, listen, that's not what I meant. I meant Allah brings life from not being there. And then he's the only one who truly gives death. You just took a man who's already alive. And he didn't explain that. He realized he's dealing with a dimwit. So he simplified it for him. He dumbed it down. قال فإن الله يأتي بالشمس من المشرق فأتي بها من المغرب. Allah brings the sun out from the east. You bring it out from the west. Then Allah says, فبهت الذي كفر. He was stumped after that. So some du'at that have just one analogy and they love it. The analogy is so good that you gotta understand it. The guy argues against it. No, I insist on just shoving this analogy down your throat. He doesn't get it. Move on. It's okay. Sometimes people just want to be difficult. I have this analogy with a car, and we're going to get into it in a little bit. And one time I used it on someone. I said, if I offered you this car, would you take it? The guy was like, no. He's just being a jerk. One time in Calgary, I was talking to someone. I'm like, people they always like to make sure that they're safe. They want to ensure their well-being and their safety. Would you just walk across the street without looking? He's like, yeah. He's just being a jerk. Like, no, you wouldn't. Like, yes, I would. I'll just walk across the street without looking both ways. He's just being a jerk, right? I told him, look, came them out of it. Look, I know you're an intelligent man. You're at this university. You look intelligent. And I know that's not the case. Right? But again, just move on. Forget the analogy. So be flexible. Have many different techniques, many different analogies, many different stories. All right. That's about different styles. I know alayhi salam had different styles, and also about different times of the day, and public and private, night and day, all that. This is a technique I just like to put there, even though I don't recommend to use it. I'm putting it there just so you can get an idea of the broad spectrum of different approaches. This is a technique that I won't use all the time. I'll use with specific people. I understand you guys had Dawah man here for the Imran, right? Yeah. So I was giving a Shahada class many years ago, and Brother Imran asked a question. He said sometimes, and he's, come on now, Dawah man now, right? Dawah man's on point, like he said class. So he said sometimes we're with brothers, and I see a young guy walking by, and he looks all hip and all that. So I call him, yo, bro. You know how those guys speak, bro, brother. Yo, bro, right? So he said, the people with the du'at next to me always tell me, don't say that to me. And he said, what do you think? I said, okay, has it ever backfired on you? He said, no. So what's their problem then? Do you use that with everybody? Like, does he see like this, old gentleman, Sir Isaac Wallace, that top hat, walking like this? He's like, yo, bro, what up? Hi. He doesn't use it on anybody. He uses it on the right person at the right time, and it's never backfired. So why would you tell him don't use it? Oh, else it's okay then, right? So again, I'm only putting this there so you know what's out there, not so that you use it. But I don't use this on anybody. I use it on people who've got the look. Who knows what I'm saying when I say the look? When someone looks like they could become Muslim right this second. You ever seen someone like that? Nobody in the room? You see a non-Muslim, they look like if you spoke to them, they would become Muslim right now? Okay, good. At least one person nodding. So, when someone has that look, that's the approach I use with that. If you say look like they're ready, I know I can't explain the look to you, but you just know it when you see it. And if someone has a look, and we use this technique on them, not because of the technique, but because of the look, 97% of the time they become Muslim, inshallah. I would say 97% of the time. That's my estimate, like from my experience. So if someone has a look, I just walk up to him and say, are you Muslim? And the guy says no, and I say, why not? That's my question, straight up like that. Now, I use this in America, and I know who to use it with in America. I would not use it in Ireland. I would not use it in a place where I don't know the people well. Now, I always tell and warn people, don't have someone come from another country and export their local dawah to your, or import it into your country. All right? Sweden, I'll tell them, you figure out how Swedes do, and you do like the Swedes. Okay? Don't have someone from America tell you how to talk to people. Okay? I'm going to give you guidelines, and you switch them and change them around. So the guy says no, I say why not, and then from the answer he gives me, I understood so much about this person in less than 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Are you Muslim, sir? No. Why not? Because I have my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, that's why not. How much did I learn about this person? Was that even 10 seconds? Probably 6 seconds. How much did I learn about this person? Number one, he's a Christian. Number two, Trinitarian, believes in Trinity, because he said Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Number three, what? What's the third thing we learned? He's not sure? Yeah, he's practicing, or his belief is a bit strong, or he kind of, why? Because he got so excited or agitated, whatever the word is, right? So now what kind of a technique is this? You're agitating someone. Watch me calm him down very quickly. Oh, you know, we actually also believe in Jesus, but you know what is the main difference between our belief in Jesus and yours? And the guy says, what? He's already calm. And I start talking. What if I ask, and this has happened, I can't tell you how many times this has happened. To me personally. Are you Muslim? No. Why not? I don't know. I've got an older sister who's Muslim, my uncle's Muslim, I've got a cousin who's Muslim. What does it mean to you when someone says, I don't know why I'm not Muslim? See, basically this question now also tells me how close or how far they are away from Islam. So when he says, I don't know, he's telling you, there's no reason, there's no good reason why I'm not a Muslim. He's telling you, I can become Muslim at any second. You know what you're dealing with in 10 seconds. But again, I'm just putting it out there just so you know the different techniques, the whole broad spectrum of them, and not necessarily that you're going to try this next week. All right. So now is this light here and stuff? Oh, nice. Okay. Can we bring this up? Oh, it's not electric. I should have written the venue has to be electronic. No, it's not acceptable. It has to go like that. I have to pull it. It has to pull. It can't be like pulling on things. The buttons now. Okay. How about temporarily we turn that up? Do I have to also reach up there and no, just tap it. Get your ladder, yeah? And the ladder. So one brother's here, one brother. Wonderful. Okay. Now, the truth is, what I'm about to present is a suggestion. Still not a rule, but here's why. Look at your school textbook. It's broken up into chapters. It starts with the introductory chapter, and then it progresses until towards the end of the book it gets heavy. In school, in the old days, you get your textbook at the beginning of the school year, and you the math textbook. You open the last chapter and you see X's and Y's. Like, I thought math was numbers, but why are there letters here? And like, how am I ever going to understand the last chapter? But towards the end of the year, you understand it. Why? Because you got through it gradually. So things are broken up into chapters, into like introductions, this and that, so you can take it, the information in an organized manner. One mistake, again, we're unlearning now. One of the mistakes du'at make, or whatever, make, is that they gather in their minds a lot of interesting, heartwarming, moving things, and they pile them all up randomly, and then they just start to throw them in non-Muslims. So they've got an interesting fact about science in the Quran, boom, they throw it at the person. Something about the Prophet and animals, boom. Something about taking care of nature, and boom. And they just keep throwing these random things at people. And that doesn't work. They're just hoping something sticks at the end of the day. No. What's better is to take someone through an organized thought process from A to B. Whatever A is, whatever B is. B could be the Shahada. B could be that they now support the woman's right to cover her face. B could be that now they agree that, whatever, Muslims are friendly. Whatever it is you're trying to get them to, it's better to take them through, organized, and that's what we call it channeling thoughts. Channel their thoughts from here to there. Not random bits and pieces of information. And many du'at use that technique. And they're not experienced du'at, but they use that technique. It's not a technique even, they just, it's soup. I don't know what you call it, just soup. And I don't have time, but I would give you some random words, and I would ask people in the room, how long would it take you to memorize these random words in this order? And people say 10 minutes, 5 minutes, because they're just completely random words, and they don't make any sense. Then I'd rearrange the word and say, now how long would it take you to memorize them? And 0, you can just say the sentence right back to me. So when the words in the sentence were mixed around, to memorize them in that order, it took 10 minutes, but now when I put them in a specific order, you can repeat it back to me immediately. The sentence from the note was, Abdul Ghafur put great effort into memorizing Quran in the recitation of Ad-Duri. You can say it back to me. Abdul Ghafur put great effort into memorizing Quran in the recitation of Ad-Duri. But if I tell you memorize these words in this order, Ad-Duri, B, in, Quran, and then tell you to say it back to me in the same order, it takes you a longer time. So this is what we're talking about. Any conversation or any good dawah conversation, you have to start off of some base. So, and I'm gonna, okay, this is basically more or less the last thing I want to get through to you tonight. We're gonna go through this channel, and then I'm gonna talk about the 2 golden rules. And with the time that we have, inshallah, that's enough for you to go and make a good impact, inshallah, this coming week. There's a guy who attended one time just a portion of the da'wah class. He heard the first golden rule and he had to go. And he got Shahada next week. He didn't hear all the other techniques and stuff. He got Shahada next week because he heard the golden rule. So as long as you walk out here with the 2 golden rules and what we're doing here is the basic structure, inshallah, that's the best I can give you in the time given. Now, people argue, what about saying this, and what about speaking about that, and what about speaking about this, and they just want you to talk about everything. So now, it's a pot. Okay, I've got this huge pot here, and most Muslims want you to keep filling the pot. What about respecting your parents? Put that in the pot. Respecting the parents, come on now. What about charity? Put charity in the pot. So now, I keep adding and adding to this pot. And it's not a 10-minute talk anymore. Okay, it's a lot longer than that. And what about this? Put it. What about that? Put Umrah. Put Umrah. So, okay, now what I'm trying to sell you tonight, what if I put this pot over a fire and let it boil and the majority of the water evaporate? And I want to leave just the bare minimum that I have to speak to someone about before they become Muslim. What is the bare minimum I have to put in this pot? And I'm going to argue that it's talking about the Tawheed of Allah Azza wa Jal and the 5 pillars of Islam. And I'll explain why. And if you want to say, well, what about the 6 pillars of Iman? What about charity? And what about the masjid, the importance of Salah in the masjid? What about Qiyamul Layl? I tell you, listen now. The Prophet ﷺ, when he sent Mu'adh ibn Jabal, companion, to Yemen to give da'wah, what did he instruct him? He didn't even mention all 5 pillars. He mentioned 3 of them. La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah, Salah, and Zakah. You can even do these and that's enough. Why did the Prophet say charity and taking care of the widows and the orphans and the one who takes care of the orphan will enter Jannah would be like this? Yes, it's all important. But what we're arguing, brothers and sisters, what is the bare minimum I have to talk to someone about Islam before they become Muslim? If I just let all this evaporate, it's the bare minimum. We're going to make this case, inshallah. Now, so we're going to illustrate this through two stories. The first story is basically happened some a good number of years ago, where I went somewhere with my wife, and there was a police officer at the gate of this office, and I wasn't sure if he was going to let me in or not, so I agreed with her that if he lets me in, then I'll signal to you, you wait for me in the car, I'll be out in 5 minutes. So I spoke to the officer, he said, yes, you can come right in. And I signaled to her. He saw her in the distance, getting in, wearing jilbab and everything, getting back into the car. And as I'm walking in, the police officer says, why is it that the Muslims always have the best women? Now, I don't know what that means. I'm sure you don't know either, but you have an idea. But you need something to work with, right? So you ask for information. You ask for more information. So I said, what do you mean by that, sir? He said, well, Muslim women, they're well covered, they're modest, they're well mannered. Our women, and he starts describing. So now I've got something to work with because this guy has a good moral system here. He understands haya and iman. Yeah, iman, but haya, right? I can work off of that. So I said, are you Muslim? And I know he wasn't. He said, no. I said, because you have very Islamic qualities. And his chest came out. He felt proud of himself. I have Islamic qualities. Maybe I'm not so different from these people who are called Muslim. He said, do you know much about Islam, sir? And he said, no. So when you ask someone this question, do you know much about Islam? Okay, they're either going to say yes or they're going to say no, correct? Either way, they answer, you click on the right file. If they say, yes, I know about Islam, what's your next point? Find out what's the problem. If you know about Islam, why aren't you Muslim? You understand? I have to find out why you're not Muslim. And then get after the Shahada. Right? Now, if he says no, then what file do I click on? Brief introduction to Islam. Right? So I've got that file, I'm going to give him a quick one, and I've practiced it in my mind many times, so I know I can say it 5. And actually, this story is I don't know how many years old. It's probably, wow. Yeah, it's about 12 years old, this story. But I can tell you exactly what I said to him right now. Not because my memory is so superb, which it is, but because it's the same script I've been saying for years. That's why. Boom, click on that script, I'm going to go through it. All I'm doing is talking. That's my job. Irshad. Up to Allah, tawfiq. Man, what an easy combination, huh? Who can't be a da'i? If you can talk, you can be a da'i. True or false? True. Yes, sir. Now, so I said, do you know anything about Islam? He said no. So I know that now I have to give him a brief introduction on Islam. I've got the file ready. But I can't just start. What if he's an atheist? So I need to build on something. So I'm building, right? And when you build, you need a strong base, a good strong foundation. So what's the foundation I'm going to build all the beliefs upon? It's got to be believing in the Creator, believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the first block here, this is my, I didn't like that line. So the first one here is belief in the Creator. Okay? The Creator. Now, how do you find out if someone believes in the Creator? It's like this. You ask a closed-ended question. Do you believe there's a Creator? See? What's a closed-ended question? The answer is a yes or a no. Because I don't have time for an open-ended question. One of the du'at used to make this mistake. What's your view on God? And the guy now starts with his philosophy. I don't care about your philosophy, sorry, but I don't. Well, it was back in 1967. No, I think it was 68, because 67 I just came out of jail. I don't have time for your life history. Do you believe in a Creator? Yes or no? Close-ended question. The guy says yes, I can continue with building here, because now I have a solid foundation to build upon. If the guy says no, how do I say, this Creator sent the Prophet? I just said I don't believe in the Creator. Which file do I click on then? The atheist file. Click. Right? But in this case, I'm telling you a true story. So the man said, yes, he believes in the Creator. Now, if you believe in a Creator, this is the foundation we're going to build upon. The next logical step, if there's a Creator, then we have to talk about the prophets. Okay? Why? Because, and more or less what I told them, because he's a Baptist Christian, right? I asked him what his background was. He's a Baptist Christian. I said, okay. So now, as you know, this Creator, He's fair and He's just. Out of His fairness, He doesn't just resurrect people and send a group to paradise and a group to the hellfire. He sends them prophets and messengers to warn them, to let them know that 1, there is a God. 2, the do's and don'ts of life. And 3, that there's a day of resurrection when you're going to be held accountable for your deeds. Now, the most logical way for the Creator to let us know about His existence is through prophets, sending prophets. Righteous individuals from amongst the population that will teach them about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes to everyone personally, then it defeats the purpose of being a test. You use this in a university setting. If your professor is threatening you about the most painful and dangerous midterm ever, then you come to take the midterm and the answers are on the board. Can you say that was a test? He tested you? No. So the answers are in front of you, it's not a test. So that's why Allah doesn't come in front of you like that. Also, there are only 3 ways, right, to know about Allah. 1, He comes to you personally. 2, He sends you an angel. And if everyone is sent an angel, or an angel was sent 1,400 years ago, it would not be a realistic role model. And quite frankly, today it would sound like a fairy tale. That there's a prophet angel who came and sat with everybody and then he left them. Okay, fast like the angel, get married like the angel who never got married. Very hard to follow that sunnah, right? Probably don't want to follow that either. Anyway. So now the most logical thing that makes sense is that Allah will send people to speak to people and let them know about Himself. And the man being a Baptist, that's why God sends so many prophets, and you've got them listed in the Bible, because sometimes He'll send a prophet, and the people will send out of the fairness of Allah. He doesn't just resurrect people and send a group to paradise and the hellfire. He sends them warners, prophets and messengers to tell them first. But sometimes people don't follow the messenger, so He'll send another one. Sometimes they'll kill him, they'll send another one. Sometimes they follow him, the minute he dies, they change his religion. So He sends another and another, and that's why biblically we have the names of so many prophets: David, Aaron, Moses, Abraham, Lot, Solomon, and the list goes on and on and on. Make sense? Makes sense. Now I want to talk about 2 other prophets, and they are Isa alayhi salam and Muhammad sallallahu alayhi salam. Okay? Why? Because 1, he's a Baptist Christian and they have an erroneous belief concerning Isa. And Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he can't become Muslim without believing in him as the final message. So, now watch how I did this. There are 1,001 different ways to do this. Alright? But there's only this, because it's a true story, this is how we did it. I said, now I'm not saying, do you believe Jesus was a prophet? He believes He's the Son of God. And I said, if you believe that, I said, is it logically possible that Jesus could have been one of the prophets of Allah? And the man answered, yes. He can't say no. If he says no, just say it back to them slowly. If Allah wanted, He sent, just like He sent Moses and Aaron and Abraham and Noah and sent all these as prophets, is it logically possible? I'm not asking you if you believe this. I'm asking if Allah wanted to send Jesus as His prophet, just like He sent Noah as His prophet. Is that possible? And the man has to say yes. Now, is it logically possible that 600 years after Jesus, Allah could have sent another prophet, Prophet Muhammad in Arabia, who also taught the basic things of only one God that should be worshipped, the commandments: be good to your parents, honor your neighbor, and you should commit murder, do not steal. Is it logically possible that Muhammad could have been one of the prophets of Allah? And the man says, yes. Now, from this point, we're going to make some pauses, but from this point, we spoke about the 5 pillars, okay, of Islam. And I'll explain why. But that was the end of the Jesus discussion. Now, it doesn't have to go like this. You might actually make a big pause here and move on to Jesus in the Bible, Jesus in the Quran, and you can talk about Trinity, the history of the Trinity. It can go anywhere. But you always try to do the simple thing first. Don't try to complicate things and go into long, deep explanations. Give the quickest analogy, explanation, and move forward. So here he accepted the idea that it's logically possible Jesus was a prophet. And Jesus said in the New Testament, 20 times at least, He said, my Father was sent you, saying that He was sent. So, okay. And then here, He said yes about Muhammad. It's logically possible He could have been one of the prophets of Allah. He doesn't say He believes it, but 2 or 3 minutes after this, He said He believes it. He actually took His Shahada. 2 minutes after this point, he said, yes, I believe it. So one time a student put their hand up and they said, how do you go from asking someone, is it logically possible, to then 2 minutes later telling them, I want you to testify that this is the truth and it happened? How? And it's very simple. The gap between what you believe to be true and what you believe to be logically possible is actually a very small gap. You can test yourself right now. Think of something that you believe is logically impossible. It's probably something you believe is not true. And think of something you believe is logically possible. Typically, it's something you believe is true. So the fact that he said yes about Muhammad shows you that in his mind, it's not that far from being the truth. Whereas, pick any other cult leader. The example I used to use is Jim Jones. Remember him? Jim Jones in New York started this cult. Then he took his followers, about 1,000 of them, men, women, and children, and had a clearing made in the forest in Guyana, and he calls it Jonestown. And then he had 970 or so of them commit mass suicide by drinking Kool-Aid that had poison in it and all that. You can actually still hear the audio of them crying as they're drinking it, and then he drank it and they all died. So he named it Jonestown, and after his death they discovered he had millions of dollars in his own bank accounts from his followers that he took the money from and all that. Now, if I ask someone, is it logically possible Jim Jones was one of the prophets of Allah, what do you think they'll say? No. They'll say no immediately. Why? Because no prophet of Allah did that. Killed 1,000 of his people and himself, took money, put it in his own pocket, named the city after himself. This doesn't sit well. He didn't teach the 10 Commandments. Jibreel didn't come to him. The fact that I say no about Jim Jones tells me that Jim Jones is far from being a prophet. The fact that he said, yes, it's logically possible, shows you that in his mind it's not that far. Now, but what if you needed more details? I don't know. So, then I need more details. Then you might, like the conversation can shift, and you might give a brief of the Seerah of the Prophet, or you might give a pamphlet on the Seerah of the Prophet, and then continue another day. But you're not going to give up immediately. So, likewise also notice that in the story I kept telling the man Allah. So I don't have a contract to use Allah only. You can use Allah, you can use God interchangeably. But some Muslims only use God. And some Muslims only use Allah. But you don't have to only use one or the other. You can use the two. Notice, but the issue is like some Muslims only use God because they think, what if I say Allah and they think Allah is another God or Allah is the moon God? First of all, nobody knows this moon God nonsense. Some overzealous Christians made that up a long time ago to confuse people. Nobody hears about it. When's the last time you met someone who believed Allah was the moon God? You only see it on that, what's that channel called, the 700 thing? Those hateful guys.
Oh.
Those guys, right? Nobody says that. So the disclaimer, 10 minutes till the end of the thing, wow. Okay. The disclaimer basically is, so I'm talking to someone and I say Allah, and then I pause. Here's a disclaimer, a few seconds. By the way, when I say Allah, it's not a name of a different God, it's just the name of God in Arabic. If you go to a church in an Arab country and you get an Arabic Bible, it will say Allah. Understood? Understood. Boom, we're done. What was that, 15 seconds? Not even. That's it. So, then we briefly ran over the 5 pillars. We've already done one of the pillars. We've got 4 more. Quick run through Salah, and Hajj, and Zakah, and Siyam. And it's literally 45 seconds to 50 seconds to explain all the 5 pillars quickly. As I go through each pillar, makes sense? Makes sense. I check. Don't move forward assuming the person's on board. So check. Make sense? Makes sense. Makes sense? Makes sense. Boom, boom, boom. Then, I don't know what that was. Building is closing. So
may I have your attention, please? The building will be closing at 8 o'clock. Please exit the building. May I have your attention, please? The building will be closing at 8 o'clock. Please exit the building. Thank you.
I'm going to go give her dawah. Wow, okay, that's good. All right, we can do this, inshallah. Watch this. 5 pillars. By the way, when I do a course or a class, I do it exactly the same way, like exactly the same way. So if I actually pause right now and play the YouTube version, I will say, I can actually play it and say the same thing with the video. So you can actually finish this at home tonight, all right? So the 5 pillars are extremely, extremely important because, very briefly now, I can speak to you for 7 minutes and you like everything that I say, but that's not enough for me to enter your religion. I don't know what else is out there, but here's my argument. I told you the most important things, and if they agreed with you, what are the chances something of lesser importance is going to send you over? Who accept Islam because they heard all this and they like the 5 pillars, they like Tawheed, and then they come to the masjid for the first time and you say enter with your right foot, and they're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You didn't say anything about this. This is weird. I'm not interested in this religion. If the most important thing didn't turn you away, what is the chance something of lesser importance will turn you away? So we would tell people, look, I just explained the 5 most important things about Islam. And almost everything you learn from this point onwards will not be as important. So if this appealed to you, then it's enough for you to make a decision right now. And that's how we make every decision in life. That's how you buy a car. That's how you rent a house. You don't say, well, let me move the kids and the dog in here for 7 months, then we'll tell you if you want to rent this place or not. Well, let me drive the car for about a year, I'll tell you if I like it or not. No. You look at the most important things. What do I want in a house? Okay? 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a big, very, very big kitchen. These are the most important things to me. After that, fine, I'll make a decision, even without living here. So if you understood the most important things today in my 7-minute talk, that's enough for you to make a decision. And the analogy we came up with convinced me to become Muslim after a short talk. Because, look, one of the worst things, let me skip ahead.
Oh, it's not on.
Oh, okay, forget it. And actually 2 golden rules. Number 1, ask for the Shahada. Number 2, create the urgency. Golden rule number 1, I don't have time to explain more than if I convince someone to become Muslim and they agree with everything that I've said, then I have to ask for the Shahada. If you don't ask for the Shahada, why were you talking to them to begin with? I've got them convinced that there's only one God that should be worshipped. Muhammad is the messenger, the 5 pillars are okay. Why did you get them to this point if you're not going to ask them to become Muslim? I call this the golden rule of da'wah. For me, the difference between my da'wah before learning this rule and after is that for many, many years, I got a difference in effectiveness, okay? Just focus with me. Not in success, in effectiveness. With that many, many years and no shahada. All kinds of talks and dates and everything and no shahada. And then I learned this one rule, and the difference was like 5 shahadas a day, per day, just from this one rule. Because never ever did the Prophet go call people to Islam and got there and didn't call them to Islam. You have to ask them to become Muslim. And there are many analogies and studies done with sales that I would have gone into to show you that when you don't ask for the sale, nothing happens. Why would you convince them to get all the way to the doorstep of Islam and not invite them in? Very quickly, imagine I'm inviting you for lunch and I'm telling you about my house and my cooking, my wife's cooking. It's not as good as mine, but it's great. And I'm telling you, you're going to love the food. And my house is awesome. You're going to love my, what I have in the backyard. And then when I get into the door of the house, it was really nice talking to you and I closed the door this day. Same thing. Let me invite you to Islam. It's wonderful. It's better for you. It has a solution to all your life's problems and everything. Then when I came right to the doorstep of Islam, it was really nice talking to you. If you have any questions, call me. And close the door in their face. When you get them here, ask them to come in. So the golden rule is that when you talk them up to this point, ask them for the Shahada. Again, you go online and you're going to hear all the arguments from the Seerah and from sales and studies where you have to ask for the Shahada. That's the first golden rule. And so only rule I insist upon. Second rule is create the sense of urgency. I'm going to skip 10 years of not my da'wah, it's not 10 years. I'm going to skip I don't know, how many decades of da'wah. Why? Because I'm not that old, but every time I travel around the world, I meet experienced da'wah, I sit and I talk to them about specific things so I can gain their experience and pile them up on top of mine and I can use it in these courses. So, if there's anything you learn, that is that most people will just read and keep reading, keep studying about Islam. In the old days, I would ask reverts in the audience. And I know in Canada you guys say converts, but reverts is more correct. They revert it to the original, which is Islam. And Ibn Taymiyyah wrote a lot about this, so don't just argue before reading with all that's out there, yeah? But reverts is more correct. So ask reverts in the audience, how long did you study Islam? One guy said, I studied Islam for 3 years before becoming Muslim. So suddenly what made you become Muslim? He said, just out of the blue, a friend of mine called me up and said, become Muslim right now, and I did it. I said, what if he never called you? He said, I would still be studying Islam. we've got bills to pay, exams, papers that are due. So that moment, if you don't do it right now, you're going to relax and nothing's going to happen. So I want to create urgency, and I'll quickly tell you this story. Is that like the speech we're going to do tomorrow, Islam Awareness Week, or something like that? We brought this young lady, she was interested in Islam. Quick rundown, check, everything is good. She's got the ingredients to become Muslim. Become Muslim right now? She's like, no, need more time. Okay, how much time? She said 2 months. I'm going to negotiate. I said, that's too long. I literally said, that's too long. I didn't say anything else. She said, okay, next Friday. It was Wednesday night. So 2 days. See why it's good to negotiate? She went from 2 months to 2 days. Then I'm going to try one more time. Look, what's going to happen from now until Friday? Just do it right now. You already have the ingredients of a Muslim. Do it right now. She said, no, Friday. Anyways, long story short, I told her, look, there's nothing else I can say to you, but just do me this favor. From now until Friday, drive slowly, wear your seatbelt, and don't die. She said, you're scaring me. I said, well, that's how it works. The angel of death doesn't say what she has an appointment. It will come Saturday. So I get in my car and driving home. No pressure, right? So the sisters called me up and said that she took her Shahada. So people think they have forever. Create the urgency. That doesn't mean push and pressure people. If you're doing that, you're a bad da'i. 2, ask for the Shahada. And 3, whatever your talk is, keep it organized. One step leads to the next, leads to the next, leads to the next, leads to the next. And then here, ask for the Shahada. That's Shahada, right? Now, if you're saying no, find out what the problem is, fix it, offer the Shahada again. There might be another problem, fix it, ask for the Shahada again. When they say yes, you start going. Alright? I don't know what's happening. Is there a Dawah table tomorrow? Okay, we're going to talk about this. Maybe we just kind of start staying at the hotel to come and stand with you guys for the Dawah table or something like that. Anyways, I know you're probably thinking, what is this guy doing? This is too little to... No, it's not. It's not too little to work with tomorrow. I've done this, been doing this for 10 years, inshallah. All you have to do is go out and try this information. But now we have to go out before we lock in this room all night. Thank you for coming. I'm going to listen to our announcements, please. And that's it.